Peace, Islam, Hotep, Namaste. My name is Afet Mayat Edu Bey, and it is once again with great pleasure that I welcome you all into my humble abode for our Culture and Refinement Series Part 12, entitled The 7 Units. Once again, it is a pleasure to be back amongst you, and let's get started now. As you may know, I like to go over the 7 units. Unit number 1. Unit number 1 will be how to sew. Unit number 2 will be how to cook. Unit number 3 is how to clean. Unit number 4 is how to take care of our children. Very important in this day and time, y'all. Very important. Unit number 5 will be how to take care of self, as well as your husband. For the women and for the men, how to take care of your wife or your spouse or your consort. That is unit number 5. Unit number 6 is how to act at home. Acting at home could be how you act in your house, how you get along with one another, what do you do when you're outside in the community, how do you carry yourself, basically. And unit number 7 will be how to act abroad. How to act abroad, like if you're in another country, what that country's rules and regulations are and their customs are. What their culture is very important. Because a lot of times when you step off of that plane, you go in that other country, their rules, regulations, and customs are entirely different. And there are a couple of situations right now where a couple of Americans have gotten in trouble going to certain of these other countries and finding that they can't get back home as quick as they'd like to because they broke some of the rules. And a lot of this can be prevented, I believe, if they just do a little bit of studying about the customs and everything, how to act abroad. Now, the thing that I want to go over today will be the case of the little boy. This will be under unit number 4, how to take care of children. There's been a lot of cases, especially where I reside right now, with a lot of children. They're just finding children everywhere, neglected. I think a few days ago, they found a young baby in a pumpkin seed, about 18-month-old baby, around 2 in the morning, 3 doors down from where her mother lived, inside the pumpkin seed, just sitting there. And they said the mother called the police because she didn't know where the child was. So she told the reporter that she thought somebody came in and took the child and tried to take it. And she said she called a psychic on a psychic hotline and talked to her to let her know the child was still alive after she called the police. And the psychic told her that the child was close by and that she would be found unharmed, which was exactly what happened. The psychic was right. But I'm thinking, wow, she got a psychic and to see where her child was. She said she was sleeping. She fell asleep on the couch. And they think maybe somebody had came in there and tried to take the child and got scared and just left it 3 doors down. That's why there's a lot of home invasions where they try to come in and take children. So you have to be very, very careful. Make sure your doors are locked at night. Those of you that have small children, I always check mine every day, every second. I mean, you just can't presume anything now. There's so much going on. And even at night, have placed one of those little transmitters in the child's room. Just because they're not a baby, they may be a toddler, you can still use that. Because you can still use those devices up to, they're maybe 12 or 13 year old. You can still hear them in their room just to make sure there's nothing going on. Also, they have very cheap devices you can get. Like you can go online and buy, I think it's a real cheap one. I can't think of the name right now. It's like $20 a month. Where you can just get it. It goes with you everywhere you go. Like you go in a room or a hotel or something with your children for the weekend, you can put it in there. Keep an eye on them while you're in there with them. To make sure that nothing goes wrong. So they have a lot of things. A lot of times you just have to get up in the middle of the night and check on them, make sure that they're okay, make sure the windows are down or whatever. Sometimes you want to keep the windows up and the weather's hot and you have no air conditioning, you want a fan on, you want to keep the window open, but you still just have to be careful. Take the child inside your room with you. I mean, there are certain things you can do. There's just so much of this going on right now. So mothers and fathers and whoever your guardians or caretakers of young children, please be careful. Also, there was another case, I believe, where this child was like 3-year-old, and they showed the lady on the news, the young girl. She was crying. She wanted her child back. And the child, both of these children were taken in protective custody because she said she was at work and the lady was watching her. Some woman was supposed to be watching her child because she worked late at night at a hospital. And they found a 3-year-old boy wandering around outside, and somebody called the Child Protective Custody for them to come and see what the boy was. And she kept saying she was at work, but now the child is in Child Protective Custody. And so now she has to wait before he can even come home. So they have to evaluate her child and him as well. So a lot of these times, young mothers, you're putting yourself into a type of situation where it might not be that easy for you to get out of. So always, please be kind to your children. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing at all. Just please be careful. Also be careful who you let your children stay with, a babysitter. Even if it's a family member sometimes. You just can't, you have to really be careful who you leave your children, grandchildren with. You just have to really be very, very, very careful. And also there's an incident that happened the other day with a young baby. I think someone sent me on Facebook about a 2-year-old baby. His father was an NFL player, and they have the young man in custody. He didn't do it. He was a biological father, but his ex's boyfriend was the one that actually knocked this baby around, actually killed him. Said they was tossing him around like a football, just started throwing him and beating up on him, and actually killed him. The baby just died, I think, 2 or 3 days ago. And they interviewed the father, and he was so upset, the man that played the football. And of course he was upset. It made me upset. A lot of people got upset about it because no child deserves to die. And his mother was dating this guy, and I don't understand it, sisters, women. I don't understand why are you dating these men around your children. Why are you letting these men come amongst your children? You have small babies, and you still want to date and do all these things. Sometimes you just have to put all that to the side, especially in the formative years, from babyhood on up to 7 or 8 years old, even 12, if you're a single parent. You know what I'm saying? You just have to sometimes sacrifice and just do what you know for the well-being of yourself, and especially for your child. Because this man, he's being held in custody right now, and I really think that they should just give him the death penalty, a life for life, when you take the life of a child. I think right now there's a group that I'm with. I think it's Mothers Against Abuse to Children, and they actually have some legislation that they're introducing, which I have signed and been a part of, to actually make sure with these child abuse cases that these men are punished, or women even, punished to the fullest. Just the men are committing these crimes, it's women doing the same thing against children as well. Neglecting them, beating up on them, it goes across as barriers, there's different things, different situations. And it's escalating, especially in the communities. And it's just a terrible, terrible, terrible thing. And it breaks my heart to know that child had to die like that. So they need to just do away with the man that did it, give him life, give him the death chair, whatever. They have to change these laws for these children. Maybe that'll stop these acts of violence against the children and stop. And there's another case about the young boy also that had, I believe he had flown and got on the plane. It happened, about a week and a half now. And of course they're not releasing his name. He lived in Hennepin County, Minneapolis, I believe. And he got on a plane. I know a lot of y'all probably heard about it. And he got on a plane and flew by himself out to Las Vegas. And they said once he got there, they had alerted the police that he was there, and they put him into protective custody. And when I first heard the story, the first thing I said, a lot of other people said, where was his parents? I just knew in the back of my mind there was something going on with his parents. Because I said, how are you going to let a 9-year-old child not, let alone leave your house unsupervised without you knowing where he or she is? But they're actually going to go to the airport and board and get on the plane, and the TSA didn't even ask the question as well. This child must be he's highly intelligent. He's a spiritual being. He's highly intelligent, and his parents don't know what to do with him. But regardless of that, he still needs to be disciplined of some type. Love and discipline goes hand in hand, and apparently this is not what he's getting at home. And as I was reading some follow-up articles about this case, he's still being held in custody. out in Las Vegas, I believe. The last article I read was on October the 11th. He may be back now. They're saying that when he returns, that they were setting up some things with the county for to help the parents, or something that the mother says she's willing to once again go into their jurisdiction for them to try to help her. See, a lot of times our people, period, are too trusting of these centers, these different places that, especially tied into, these services that they offer, where you offer jurisdiction, or you give jurisdiction over your children. Because a lot of parents don't know the laws. All they know is that they're on welfare, food stamps, and these type of things, and they don't have any income. They have to sign these waivers now. I think they've been doing this for about 10 years, where if their child gets out of line, or if they get out of line, actually try to discipline them. Like, even if they're in a store and they just like spank their behind or whatever, that's considered child abuse. That is not child abuse, because a lot of us that grew up old school, we were disciplined, loved and disciplined, and we turn out fine. That is not child abuse at all. That is not child abuse. And so a lot of these children, they are not growing up disciplined. They're becoming parents, and they don't know how to discipline. They're scared of the system, because the young man with the young boy, the man's father, he said, according to the article that I just read here a couple of hours ago, he was saying that there was another incident. I think they discussed it a little bit on CNN last week. The boy got into one of those little trucks, those little white trucks. I sit up kind of high. He jumped in there, drove it. 9-year-old boy, the same 9-year-old boy, right before he boarded that plane, he had gotten in trouble, and he had drove this truck, and he actually hit a police cruiser. So they actually called the father to come down there, and the father, when he came to pick up the child, he actually asked the police officer, could he spank? He asked him for permission. He said, can I spank him? And then the police officer, they said, went, no, because if you don't, have to take you in, I'm going to have to take you in, and then your son will be in protective custody. This was like, maybe right before the boy got on the plane, a couple of days before that. And I'm like, wow, parents are really giving jurisdiction over their children, over what the state says. I mean, that's real deep. And that's the problem, because they figure, if I spank my child, I'm going to get in trouble. I'm not going to be able to get my welfare. I'm not going to be able to get my benefits. But then you're finding your child actually, being taken away, which is the situation he's in now. Because he said right now he's still in protective custody. And a lot of parents don't know how to be parents. And that's what's very important. They don't know how to be parents. And that's where people like us, educators like us, who have hearts and do care about what happened to children, step in, because the man was asking for help. So if you're listening to this video, I will be willing to help you all, any other parents that may need help with their children, because our children are so special to us. All children. This crosses racial barriers. All children should be safe. All children should be safe from harm. And if the parents need help, then those of us in the community have the proper nourishing qualities, also the proper qualities to be stern at the same time. You have to have a balance, of course, but also at the same time, we don't let children run over us or parents run over us. We're there to help. And there's no such thing as putting a child on medicine. I think I did a real big video about a couple of months ago about the need not to make sure that you don't allow these establishments and these services put your child on these types of medications. And that's one thing you have to be aware of, because once they do that, then you got to walk a time bomb now. Child getting older, and then he's going to want Ritalin, and then find out later on he's on cocaine. Because as a child, parents didn't know how to discipline. That's all really what it is, I believe, just love and discipline that come from a good home. And it can be worked out. The child can't be saved. No child should be a waste to society. No child. Every child has potential, no matter who they are. And that's my philosophy, and that's what I live by. And that's what I'm here for. Because here at our School of Culture and Refinement, that's what we do. We help all people, parents who need help, and also the children. It goes hand in hand. Because a lot of parents now, they don't know how to be parents, because they never had that. And now it's like a dilemma, generation to generation. Like with my children, I had that stern guidance and that love and discipline, and all my family members, and we handed that down to our children. But now in some families, the cycle has been broken, And a lot of parents don't know how to be parents. The women is always the first nourisher. The woman should be the first teacher from the ages of babyhood on up. The father plays a role too, if he's there. But the mother has the most important role, but she has to be in the same mindset. She has to be a sane mind, spiritually, mentally, physically. What type of foods are you eating, women? Sisters, what type of food are you eating? What type of mindset are you in? What are you reading? What TV show are you watching? Something soap operas all day? What are you watching? Men as well. I mean, what are you watching? What are you doing that's distracting you from your children? I mean, you need to ask yourself that, and if you're in that situation as well. And you must really train yourself up in the way that you should go as well. Because there's a saying that says, train a child up in the way he will go. That's certainly true. But now we have to work with parents to help train themselves up in the way that they should go. Because a lot of our parents don't know. They haven't been taught that. They don't have that instilled in them like we have with our children and our grandchildren. We are instilling in that and passing it down, through the ages. So a lot of families don't have that. What I've had and some others have had in their families, to pass it down through their children to their grandchildren. So what we have, that's what we're here. Just because we have degrees a lot of times too, that doesn't mean that that person is going to be a good educator either. Because a lot of times teachers don't understand the children as well. A lot of times that happens. And with me being such a caring educator, that's why I had to step outside the box as far as me not, really going into the public school system and teaching, because I just have this quality where I just want to nurture them. And there is actually, inside the school system, the public school system, if you're caught nurturing a child, that's considered dismissal. But fortunately, that never happened to me. I just went on and decided to leave after teaching for around 15 years to do something for myself, and at the same time help children and people who may need help as well along the way. So that's what we're building here at our School of Culture and Refinement. Getting back to that young man again, his parents, if you need help, once again, just contact me through Culture and Refinement, School of Culture and Refinement, at moabitis104 at instructor.net. And certainly I will be able to talk with you all and try to help in the input of you teaching your child, and basically helping all three of you with the problems that you may be having with him, because he's just an intelligent young man. Anytime you can get into a truck and drive, even though he hit the police cruiser while he was going down the street, thank goodness he was okay. That shows you what type of mindset our children are being born with. They're just like little bitty, like looking at my grandchildren, I see they're like little people in, ancestors. They're our ancestors. They're coming back. They're so spiritual and highly intelligent. And that's how we have to keep on nurturing them. Nurturing them the way that they should go. Exactly what the book says. I mean, that's exactly what's up. But for those who don't have that quality, don't know how to do that, that's what we should step in. Just because I said before, a person has a degree does not make them qualified. Just because you have a degree, it's about what you have inside of your heart. Namaste, what you have inside, that makes you that type of person where you have the qualities. You have to have a love first to even be around children and teach children. Period. No matter what type of educator you want to be, you have to actually have to have that love there for all of them, no matter what color, no matter what they are, disabilities, special education. If you want to be a special ed teacher, that entails a whole lot. And you know what I'm saying? You have to really have the right type of heart for that as well. Anything dealing with children. Because the book does say, treat a child the way it should go, and your days will be long. Something of that nature. I'm paraphrasing. And that truly is the truth, because our children really are our future. So, basically, that is the what I want to talk about with that. With the dilemma with our children and with the parents. So, any questions or any input? If you'd like to be a part of Culture and Refinement and help as well, there's so many topics that you can get into involving children. That's where your heart lies. And we'll be glad to welcome any comments or any thoughts or inputs. And also we are accepting donations for our School of Culture and Refinement to help further the cause of teaching our youth and parents. So once again, I would like to extend the words of peace and blessings to you. Thank you for listening, and spread the word about the Culture and Refinement series, 7 units. May you all have a peaceful night, and I will talk to you soon. Peace and love.